When I went to my daughter's elementary school sports day, I saw a parent and child trying to share a small rice ball at lunchtime. Please be patient with this. Half with mom. While the people around me were eating luxurious lunches, I couldn't just leave the miserable situation of the parent and child. Would you like to eat a homemade lunch with me? I never thought that this action, which I took on a whim, would change the fortunes of my restaurant. I never thought that at that time. My name is Daisuke Seto. I run a small set meal restaurant. It used to be quite successful, but now there are few customers and the word, going out of business, has become a reality. However, the only reason I can keep the restaurant open is because of my daughter Kana. Kana is in the 2nd grade of elementary school. I send her off every day with a smile so that she doesn't notice how hard our finances are. I wonder if she knows, because she works hard without complaining. Today was Kana's sports day. I was in the kitchen from the morning, working hard to make lunch. I don't usually get up this early unless I'm going to work, but today I felt lighter for some reason. I imagined Kana's happy face as I made tamagoyaki, Japanese rolled omelet, fried chicken, and packed colorful vegetables. It wasn't fancy, but I thought I put a lot of love into it. Kana woke up, lured by the smell of fried chicken, and looked into the lunchbox with shining eyes. Wow, Dad's amazing. I think you'll do well at today's sports day. I see. Cheer a lot and run a lot. I felt my heart warming up as I heard my daughter's happy voice. Okay, today is going to be a good day. I wrapped the lunch in a bath and took Kana's hand and left the house. The sky was high and there was not a single cloud. As the opening ceremony fanfare rang out, the children lined up and greeted each other loudly. After the opening ceremony, the sports day began in earnest. Completion and autumn winds spread across the imperial palace. The children's laughter echoed in the sky. The competition started and Kana stood at the starting line. She was nervous, but when her name was called, she straightened up. Good bang. My heart was warmed by the sight of my daughter running at full speed. Her hard work pierced my heart. Okay, do your best, Kana. Run to the end. Kana ran all the way to the finish line and finished in 2nd place. She looked frustrated and bit her lip, but turned around and smiled at me. It was great. You did a great job. You gave it your all in the ball throwing, dancing, and every other competition. Just watching her make me feel that today would be a special day for me. The morning competition ended and the announcement for the lunch break was made. We sat down on the picnic sheets laid out in the corner of the Emperor. I opened the bath and placed my lunchbox in front of Kana. Dad, I want to show everyone this lunch. I made it with enthusiasm. It's delicious even if there are sharks in it. Na picked up the fried chicken and happily ate it, stuffing her mouth full. It was so crunchy, it was the best. Just that smile blew away the tiredness of the morning. Suddenly, a high-pitched voice came from nearby. What is that? Is that shabby bento going to be enough? She turned around without thinking and saw that it was Kana's classmate, Mitashima, standing there. His jersey with his name on it was still as crisp as new. On his back was a sports bag with a brand logo. In his hands was a 2-tiered bento box with a cowhide finish that looked the most luxurious she had ever seen. Next to him was a man in a suit that was undoubtedly intimidating. He had his arms crossed while wearing sunglasses, and a faint smile on his lips. Well, that's what they call the taste of the common people. That one remark made the atmosphere a little colder. In our house, my dad is the president, so even our bento is luxurious. It contained special beefsteak. Kanna stopped eating with her chopsticks for just a moment. The hand that had been touching the fried chicken was gently placed on his lap. I let out a small sigh as I saw her with her face down. I sent her off with a smile on my face. I can't believe I was hurt like this. Do your best. It might be tough to have a good afternoon with just spiritual food. Shiba snorted and quickly left. Behind him, Takayuki looked at me again with a sleepy look. As if he was saying that we could understand each other without having to say whether we won or lost. Still, we didn't say anything and just remained silent. Don't be shy. Kanna's share is 3 layers of love. Kanna laughed softly. Yes. I like your lunchbox the most. It gives you all the strength you need to work hard on your cooking. My daughter's words naturally made my mouth relax. I suddenly looked over and saw a mother and daughter crouching a little distance away. It was the first time I'd seen their faces. Mother and daughter, perhaps. All they had was one small rice ball. They broke it in half and quietly shared it. I'm sorry. Just bear with this. Yes. Half with Mom. While the surrounding families spread out their sumptuous bento lunches, they looked as if they were trying not to be seen by anyone. Even so, the mother and daughter quietly laughed at each other and tossed out small rice balls. I stopped eating my chopsticks. There was a tingling sensation deep in my chest. Just looking at that smile made me feel something I couldn't put into words. I quietly stood up and called out. Would you like to eat my homemade bento together? The thought came out of my mouth. My body moved before I could think. Kanna also looked up next to me and nodded. Yes, let's eat together. The mother looked at me with a surprised look. But it's not luxurious, but I'm confident in the taste. We're a set meal restaurant, so Dad's bento is delicious. Her daughter pulled her mother's sleeve. Mom, I want to eat it. The mother looked around for a moment, then nodded slightly. Thank you. Just a little then. Kanna placed the bento in the middle of the picnic sheet and smiled. It's not a lot, but all the side dishes are delicious. The woman's daughter hesitantly picked up the tamagoyaki and put it in her mouth. It's fluffy. It's so delicious. It has a really gentle taste. It's a nostalgic, comforting taste. I felt my heart warm when I heard her words, even though I was a little embarrassed. Her eyes were sparkling. Daddy's tamagoyaki is sweet. I love it. The 4 of us gathered around the bento box, and it felt warm and filling our hearts. The laughter gradually increased. I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad I made it. This lunch wasn't just a meal. It was a warm time where people could connect with each other. As we were eating our lunch, an announcement was made that the lunch break was over. One by one, the children in the Imperial Palace returned to their team lines. Mom, I'm off. See you later, Dad. The 2 of them laughed, waved to each other, and ran back to their respective lines. Their small backs were swaying in the wind. I looked to the side as I closed the lid of the lunchbox, which had become a shell. The mother bowed her head gently. Thank you so much. It's been a long time since I felt this warm in my heart. No, it's nothing big. We run a restaurant, so we always have food. Still, it's been a long time since I've seen that smile on her face. Her voice was trembling. Her quiet eyes seemed to be filled with a variety of emotions. I'm Manabu. My daughter's name is Miku, and she's in the first grade at elementary school. My name is Daisuke Sei. My daughter is in the second grade at Kana. They bowed slightly and smiled a little shyly. I could feel the tension slowly easing. I'm sorry if I was being too meddlesome about that lunchbox. But I was worried, so Mana looked down and let out a small sigh. No, I'm glad you cared. Actually, I had to quit my job a while ago. I used to work in real estate. The numbers and the relationships were tough, but I managed to continue. His voice, carefully choosing his words and speaking carefully, exuded determination and hardship. But one day, I couldn't agree with the president on a deal and we ended up arguing on the spot, so I clenched my hands tightly on my lap. He said, "No one can trust a single mother like you." For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. The moment I heard those words, my stomach burned. What is that? Is it okay to be so unreasonable? I raised my voice without realizing. Before I knew it, my fists were tensed. To have the value of my work denied because of family circumstances. That's definitely wrong. Minami looked at me in surprise. But her eyes seemed to be a little watery. Thank you. Just hearing that gives me a little relief. I took a breath after hearing those words. I'm sorry. I got hot. My family isn't financially well off, but that kind of talk still makes me angry. My savings were gone in an instant after I was suddenly fired, and now I'm just looking for one-off cleaning jobs to get by. The weight of life was oozing out of Ichigo, but her efforts to smile for her daughter touched my heart. If she had time to cry or be depressed, she wanted to smile in front of her daughter. That smile had immeasurable resolve. I looked at her again. This person is just living desperately, wishing for her daughter's happiness more than anyone else. Minami's words were interrupted, and the wind passed quietly by. In front of me, the children were complete. The next competition began at the Emperor, and the children who were called by name ran out. I stared blankly at the scene and cursed in my mind. Is there anything I can do? This person is working so hard, desperately protecting her daughter without relying on anyone, and it's going to be tough like this. Is it okay to end it with that? If you don't mind. Minami turned to me. I took a breath and continued speaking quietly. I run a set meal restaurant. We're short on staff right now, so would you like to work here? Me? Mai's voice said that. It's no wonder. It was a sudden request. Ours is also a store that is barely making ends meet. So we can't pay a lot and the conditions aren't really good, but Minami stares at me. I continued slowly, carefully choosing my words. I thought it would be reassuring to have someone like you help me. It wasn't a compliment or a random thought. I thought I could trust you because you're the kind of person who would split a single rice ball in half with a smile. Working at Papa's store means I can spend more time with Miku-chan, right? Yes. Maybe that's what will happen. Kana clapped her hands with a big smile. Yes. I'll have more time to play with Miku-chan. Minami laughed softly at his voice. His expression, which had been stiff until just now, softened little by little. Are you sure that's okay? Of course it's fine to help each other out. It's mutual. Then let me do it. Thank you. I nodded at his words. I felt like a small decision had lit a light in my heart. From the next lesson, Mana started coming to the store full-time. Starting with the morning rotation preparation, the lunchtime washing up, and simple distribution, at first it seemed unfamiliar to me, but I was soon amazed at how efficient he was. When he went to take an order, he quickly collected the open plate on his way back, and slipped past without disturbing the kitchen line. He behaves like water. He knows what to do before I give him instructions. I couldn't help but say a simple voice. You can really do anything. Mana laughed a little shyly. My parents used to run a small restaurant. I often helped out. It seemed to have naturally ingrained in my body since I was a child, and there was something lively about the face of learning as I laughed. Then, after school, a small change began to come to the corner of the store. Kana and Miku sat together at a corner of the counter. They spread out their homework, played around, and sometimes made small menus out of paper napkins to teach them how to be store clerks. Welcome. Today's recommendation is the fried chicken set meal. Also, we have Papa's egg roll set meal. It's sweet and delicious. I want to eat that. Yes. Understood. The two of them laughed in unison and brought a small tray with origami food on it. Minami, who received it, responded with a chuckle. If we had such a cute waitress, customers might come every day. Then we'll really help out. Yes. I want to do something when Papa is in trouble. Those words made my heart warm. The inside of the store was filled with laughter, hot water, and a brightness like a little sunshine. Minami and I suddenly met eyes across the counter. They look like real sisters. Yes, thank you for bringing Miku over. There were not many words, but I felt it clearly in my heart. This store was no longer just a restaurant. A place where lives and thoughts intersect. That's how it began to grow quietly. But no matter how much I moved or how carefully I worked, the number of customers did not increase. Even though I put out a line of people walking by passed by the store as if it were air. Suddenly, I felt like the sign looked colored. After lunchtime, the inside of the store became quiet. The afternoon sunlight falling on the table felt lonely in the evening. Quote, This is not funny at all, I muttered, hunched over after washing the dishes. The number of plates still piled up on the counter was the same as the lunch sales. Mana stood next to me in silence, holding the plate in her hand and leaving. It's okay. It's not over yet. Her voice was quiet, but it was filled with true strength. I stared at her profile. Mana certainly didn't complain or stop what she was doing. She must have overcome many difficult situations. And now she was standing in this store on the edge, still blowing on the plates with a smile. I searched for words. But whatever I said seemed half-hearted. So all I could say was just one word. Thank you. It was a very obvious thing, but it was a gratitude that oozed from the bottom of my heart. Minami glanced towards me for a moment and shook her head. Just that made me want to try again. It was 3 days later. As I was preparing to turn like always, I heard a murmur of people outside. I wondered what it was, and the moment I passed through the entrance, I was speechless. There were people lined up from the end of the street to the front of the store. At a glance, there were easily 100 people. Everyone seemed to be waiting their turn while looking at their smartphones. What is this? I heard a breathtaking voice from behind me. Miku and Kanda had come to take a look before going to school, their eyes wide open. Dad is amazing. No, really. It was an unbelievable sight. I just stood there in a daze in front of the unbelievable line. I've never seen such a sight even once in all the years I've been running the store. Someone called my name in the cold wind. Hey San, that lunch was the best. Can I have fried chicken today? One by one, familiar parents from the sports day peeked in. The people who were laughing under the same sky on that imperial throne. Kana said quietly. They were the people at the sports day the other day. It was that reasonable father. Miku also pointed here and there with wide eyes. When such a confused voice leaked out, Mana called out from behind. I told everyone. How you made lunch that day thinking about your daughter. How kindly you shared it with us. Minami's words echoed slowly and carefully so as not to be lost in the wind. It wasn't just a lunch. That day was a meal that was shared with feelings. That's why I asked. I asked if we would cheer together with gratitude, and everyone said they would come right away. I felt my heart heat up at those words. I'm just the father of a set meal restaurant. But that moment of lunch remained in someone's heart. That alone made me realize how special this moment was today. Customers began to enter the store. Orders flew out. The kitchen was suddenly filled with excitement. Voices of surprise and joy echoed as the set meals were brought out one after another. So this is the fried chicken. Wow, the broth is soaking in. A nostalgic taste. It reminds me of the time. Soon, people who had nothing to do with the sports day started to appear. It's a restaurant that people who were passing by, young people who had seen it on social media, and even office workers in the neighborhood had been curious about. There was a buzz about the restaurant's popularity, which started with a bento box shared between a parent and child. I came here because I saw the reviews of the set meals that tasted warm. On the screen of my smartphone, there were photos of the fried chicken and bento boxes I made, as well as a scene from that day's sports day. The article that Minami had posted was spreading from person to person. When the counter in front of me was filled and the tables were full, I couldn't help but whisper. This isn't a dream, right? Minami laughs. This is real, Daisuke-san. He said this with a bit of embarrassment and went back to the back of the kitchen. I looked outside again. There, even in the cold wind, there were warm smiles of people. The afternoon of the Emperor of the Sports Day was unfolding quietly and surely. From then on, the restaurant was full every day. A fried chicken set meal, stewed mackerel of the day, and rolled omelette. Steam was constantly rising from the kitchen, and an appetizing smell was drifting. 3 more pieces of grilled fish. Minami, please distribute it. Yes, I understand. Even though I was busy, strangely, I didn't feel tired. Rather, energy welled up from deep inside my body. Mommy was also moving around with a lively smile. The opposite of a smile. The plate was empty. I had been saved many times by her back as she bowed her head and said, "Thank you for the meal," and left the restaurant, but that afternoon, the moment when the atmosphere of the restaurant changed for the first time in a long time came. I heard the front door open and turned my eyes, and there it was. Dad, it was this place after all. A high-looking cardigan with a logo and river shoes hair. Shima, Kana's classmate, was perfectly dressed, looking like a minor celebrity. Next to him was a man dressed in a dark, luxurious suit. He had his arms folded and looked around the store with a cold, sleepy gaze. Dad, this restaurant is apparently a hot topic. I don't know why, but they said it's going to be on TV. Amama's father snorted. Cheeks. It seems like a lot of people flock to such shallow topics. The moment he heard that voice, Mana stopped dead in her tracks, still holding the tray. Her face, which had been slightly red just a moment ago, faded in an instant. I never expected that she would do that, and a small heart shook inside me. Before I could even look at Minami, the man looked straight down at her and spoke. What's with you? I never thought you'd be giving me fried chicken in a place like this. His words sounded like a light laugh, but they definitely contained a hint of hurt. Mana's lips trembled. I can feel the strength in his fingers as he holds the tray. Do you know him? Mommy nodded slightly. This is Takayuki Mita, the president of the company where I used to work. At that moment, it felt like the air in the restaurant froze slightly. Takayuki looked around the restaurant, gazing at the tables and chairs as if he was tasting them. My single mother finally quit her job and I was living here. I never thought it would be a set meal restaurant. Life has become so small. From the bridge of words to the end. It was a cold, sharp word that seemed to trace the pain of the past. My chest slowly became hot. But if I expressed my feelings here, I would be on the same level as him. Manawa. I stared back at Takayuki without looking, but I didn't miss the slight shaking of the tray he was holding. It's not like Takayuki is satisfied with something like this. After the light faded, Takayuki turned his gaze to me. I'll tell you next time. The real thing. I searched for words for a moment, then answered quietly. I'll look forward to it. I said this without changing my expression while choosing my words to respond. I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to leave words here that trample on someone's way of life like that. Would you like to order? Takayuki snorted. I have no intention of eating at a restaurant like this. With that, he returned the kibis and took Shiba and left. Shiba followed his father's back, but turned around for a moment and looked at Minami and me. There was confusion in his eyes and he seemed to want to say something. The sound of the doorbell rang coldly and strangely long. When the atmosphere returned to the restaurant, I quietly looked at Mana. Are you okay? He didn't say anything. Then he took a deep breath and snorted softly. It's over now, and more importantly, the customers are waiting. His voice wasn't shaking. His words were quiet, but his expression was straight. Then he picked up the tray he was holding and headed towards the customers' seats as if nothing had happened. As I watched him, I thought, this person is strong. He lives his life facing forward without being weighed down by the wounds of the past. He is truly a strong person. As night fell, the air had become cold by the time the restaurant was closed. The hot water that had been filling the kitchen quietly disappeared, and it was finally time to take a breather. The sound of dishes clinking echoed in the silent restaurant. After I finished blowing the table, I spotted Manabu across the counter and called out to him. Thank you again. It's all thanks to you, Mana, that so many people come to the restaurant. Mana suddenly stopped what she was doing and looked up in surprise. Me? Thank you so much for calling out to everyone and telling me about the bento. Ma opened her eyes wide for a moment, then smiled a little shyly and tucked her hair that had fallen on her ear. But I was really happy about the bento I received that day. I just wanted to tell someone because I couldn't forget the taste and the feelings. His words were modest, but the feelings he conveyed were straightforward. But the reason customers come is because Daisuke's food is really delicious. I couldn't help but laugh at that one word. It seemed humble, but it was a very true statement. It's a little embarrassing to hear someone say that. A quiet laugh spilled between the two of us. After a moment of silence, Minami suddenly spoke as if to ask, why do you continue to run a set meal restaurant? I put my demons aside for a moment before answering. I grew up in a single-parent household. Mammy's expression softened. She quietly listened to what I had to say. My mother and I were barely making ends meet. But the neighbors helped me out in many ways, and every time I spoke out loud, old memories came vividly to my mind. The dimly lit kitchen, the ceiling covered in rain. But strangely, I didn't feel lonely back then. The aunt at the store would gently put the unsold vegetables in a bag, the uncle at the bakery would give me freshly baked bread because he had some left over, and every time someone gave me something, I felt warm inside. They were all small things, but their casual kindness meant the world to me at the time. They are wonderful people. I only said thank you and never gave anything back, but I thought that someday I too would like to be someone who can reach out to others. That's why I'm running this restaurant. I narrowed my eyes and squinted. I think I understand now. Why is this restaurant so comfortable? For some reason, those words made my heart warm. I didn't do anything special. But I was more than happy that someone had been able to understand it like this. The restaurant was enveloped in a gentle light at night. It was a time that seemed to light up the light in my heart. A few days later, when I went outside after finishing preparations as usual, I noticed a large sign diagonally opposite the restaurant. That place must have been a Kikan. The sign had a modern and cool logo with the words, "Opening soon." I couldn't help but frown when I saw the small dot written underneath it. I saw a fusion restaurant. I never expected that intuition to become a reality a few days later. The exterior was made of glass with a white exterior. The interior was sophisticated, and it felt like it was in a prime location in the city. Soon, that man was at the entrance to the restaurant. Takayuki, who I had seen before, appeared. So it had begun. Manami was really quietly next to me. Takayuki coolly exchanged instructions with the staff and received the high-quality ingredients that were brought in one after another. That night, the fusion restaurant Mita opened with a flourish. It serves Japanese and Western cuisine. Using ingredients sourced from Japan and overseas, the restaurant mainly serves courses that cost over 10,000 yen per person at night, but it was the lunch that drew attention. You can enjoy high-quality cuisine at an affordable price. Such word of mouth spread on the internet, and in no time, young customers began lining up. From office workers to housewives and students. On Instagram, there were tables lined up with colorful photos of dishes and things like Bael Lunch Reward Fusion. When I saw that, I was a little excited. At the seat next to me, Manami was staring at the screen of her smartphone with a complicated look on her face. It's crowded. It looks amazing and is a hot topic. But yeah. The customers at our restaurant are different in the first place. Mana smiled softly. It's not about the price, it's about whether people's hearts are satisfied. I think it's fine if we can keep that up. I think so too. Great things are great, but there's no need to copy them or fight against them. We have our own way of doing things. I want to continue to protect that feeling, one step at a time, without rushing or being swept away. That day, the atmosphere was a little different from usual from the morning. As I prepared the kitchen, I looked at the clock many times. The usual vendor was supposed to deliver the ingredients before the rotation, but the promised time had long passed. It's strange. I can't believe it's so late. Manami stopped preparing the ingredients and looked out the window with an anxious look on her face. Shall I call them? I nodded and immediately called the vendor. After a few rings, the other party answered, but there was something wrong with the voice. Oh, I'm sorry, Hayes-san. I'm a little busy with that matter right now. Are you traveling? No, well, I'm really sorry about this, but I may not be able to come to you for a while due to the delivery schedule. Why all of a sudden? No, I just wanted to give a little extra to Mita-san, who just opened nearby. No, sorry. This is unrelated. After stammering and trying to say something, the contractor quickly hung up the phone. After the phone call ended, I couldn't move for a while, holding the smartphone to my ear. Minami, who was listening next to me, exhaled quietly. I don't think it's a coincidence. I nodded slightly at his words. I saw it. It's a high-end fusion restaurant that just opened the other day. The owner is Mita Takayuki. I don't think it's possible, but it's easy to suspect, and there's no evidence, but considering the size and connections of that restaurant, it wasn't an impossible story. The next day and the day after that, I inquired about a different supplier, but they gently refused, saying that their schedule was full and that Mita-san's contract was the top priority. Something is moving somewhere. We couldn't do anything and just exhaled deeply. Don't mess with me. I was just talking to myself about love. But I couldn't help but say it. It's frustrating. But we have customers. Let's think about what we can do even if we don't have enough ingredients. I couldn't help but look at her when I heard those words. Her eyes were unwavering. They were the eyes of someone who would never give up no matter what the situation. Yes. I'll look for something I can do. I felt impatient. I was also angry. But I couldn't stop here. A few days passed and the situation didn't change. I tried looking for a replacement supplier, but it was hard to find one. There is a limit to what you can buy at the supermarket. The taste and cost are far from keeping up with the store. Still, we put out our daily orders. As long as there are people who come to the store, we decided to do what we can, but we were slowly but surely approaching the deadline. We can't get the ingredients we need to prepare. We can't make it even if we want to. There is nothing more pathetic for a chef. I muttered this to myself as if I was talking to myself. I didn't tell anyone, but I just stared at the pot with the steam gone, and I thought this might be it. Such resignation clung to my back. Mana still kept her smile. That answered my heart even more. It was the end of lunchtime that afternoon. The sound of the doorbell, which had become quieter since then. I turned around and saw Shima standing there, wearing shoes and a well-maintained jacket. There was no longer any haughty air like before, and he looked around the store with a slightly confused look. Kana noticed immediately and opened her eyes slightly. Shima-kun. Shima also noticed Kana and looked away, as if she was a little embarrassed. She slowly moved forward with her book and stood in front of the counter. Hello. Her hands were shaking slightly as she awkwardly closed the door while crying. Shima-kun, what's wrong? Shima dropped his gaze for a moment when I called his name without thinking, and then looked straight at us. Hey, can I have a set meal? I felt like the air stopped for a moment when he said that. Both Minami and I were surprised and couldn't speak. Naka quietly walked up to Shima. Do you really want to eat it? Shima nodded slightly. Kana said that at the sports day before. She said that she would give all her energy to work hard on her dad's meals. Kana's eyes widened when she heard those words, then she smiled softly. Yeah. That's true. I still believe it. I'm sorry I made fun of you back then. Kana was a little surprised by that apology, then she pursed her lips. Yeah. But I'm glad you came to eat properly. Shiba's cheeks flushed slightly. I wanted to try it. I really did. I nodded slowly. Niku, I can't serve you most of the menu right now, but if that's okay, please wait a bit. I opened the fridge and looked inside. There was a little bit of chicken left and some odd vegetables. I had some eggs and rice. I'll manage. I quickly cut the ingredients in the kitchen and cooked them. Just a few ingredients. But I put all my heart into making fried chicken so that it would reach someone's heart. The little bit of ninjin and sesame seeds left over, tamagoyaki and freshly cooked rice. He arranged it into a set meal and placed it on the counter. Sorry to keep you waiting. It's not fancy, but it's our usual taste. Shima looked a little nervous as he clasped his hands together. Itadakimasu. He took his chopsticks and first bit into the fried chicken. One bite, then two. A sound echoed in his mouth. Then he opened his eyes wide. It's delicious. What is this? It's so good. His reaction was so honest that I almost laughed. His face was just like any other second-grade boy. This was the first time I'd ever eaten fried chicken like this. It was so delicious. I couldn't stop eating. Tamagoyaki, rice, and miso soup. He nodded many times as he faced the taste head-on. I think it would be a shame if such delicious food disappeared. Those words were so direct that they pierced my heart. Thank you. After a moment of silence, Shima spoke up. You see, Dad, I'm currently lobbying the authorities. The authorities? Yes. I was talking to the person in charge of the business license of this restaurant to see if they could find any problems and stop it. Hearing it secretly, I was speechless. Dad does it on his own. But that's how it's always been. Shima's voice was quiet, as if he was looking into the distance. Ever since I was little, Dad has always been after the real thing. Luxury ingredients, luxury restaurants, famous chefs. I've always been fed good food, but sometimes I felt really lonely. I put a piece of fried chicken into my mouth. I didn't know this taste. I wasn't allowed to eat it. He said it was common and stupid, so he slowly turned his gaze to me. But when I tried it, I understood. It was true that Kana-chan said that the food gives you the strength to do your best. That's why I wanted this restaurant to stay. There was no hesitation in his words. Even though he was a child, his words were filled with honest truths. After Shima left, Minami and I were speechless for a while. The smell of freshly fried chicken wafted through the kitchen. But contrary to the warmth, there was a quiet throbbing in my heart. I'm sure that child was watching all this time. His father's way of doing things and his own feelings. I nodded deeply at those words. Even adults make mistakes. But children see that and think about it properly. Shiba's words were proof of that. Then Minami quietly continued. I don't think we should keep quiet about this. I looked straight into her eyes. There was no hesitation in her eyes. That night, Mana posted an article on her blog. The title was very simple. The story of the set meal restaurant that hired half of the bento boxes. The content was just the facts. What happened, what kind of efforts were made, with the name hidden. Based on Shiba's story, I touched on the possibility of influence and pressure on the administration. It was a record of what I saw and heard rather than an accusation, but that's probably what struck me the most. The next morning, it was retweeted tens of thousands of times on social media. The comments section was filled with angry and surprised voices, and gradually the name was identified as to what the fusion restaurant was really like. For the next few days, reporters and protest signs were posted every day in front of Sano's store. Do you crush people you don't like? What kind of person are you before cooking? What happened behind the ingredients? A high-class appearance and gorgeous food. But the trust once lost never returned. The line that had been waiting at lunchtime disappeared. Voices saying that they would never go again and that they had disappeared appeared one after another on social media. Soon, Takayuki's figure was also gone. When I went out in front of the store to serve my usual group, I saw a truck start moving in the distance. 2 trucks had Mitani's signboards loaded on them. And behind them was a small shadow watching them go. It was Shima. He was staring straight in the direction of the truck. His back seemed to be slightly ruffled. It was an afternoon with a pleasant spring breeze. When I looked up at the sound of the doorbell ringing from the run, Shima and his father, Mita Takayuki, were standing there. Unlike the last time he came, Shima had a calm expression and was firmly on his feet. There was also a little softness in Takayuki's face. Gakumi noticed from the counter and lightly praised him. Welcome. I came here to eat properly today. I see. There's a seat open. Takayuki sat down quietly without saying anything. Kana and Miku came out from the back soon after, and when they saw Shiba's face, they smiled. Shima-kun, you came. It's been a while. Shima raised his hand a little shyly. I'm here again, is that okay? Of course. Let's eat fried chicken together today. Smiles bloomed and the atmosphere spread as if a little spring had descended. I returned to the kitchen and prepared a set meal with all the ingredients I had. Fried chicken, rolled egg, miso soup, and freshly cooked rice. The usual taste of our house. When I put it on the counter, Shiba put his hands together and said in a straight voice, "Itadakimasu," and a bite. It's really delicious as expected. At that word, the learning in the back of the kitchen suddenly faded. Next to him, Takayuki quietly picked up his chopsticks and slowly nibbled on the fried chicken. It's delicious. Everyone looked a little surprised at the words that were spoken quietly. I never thought such an honest impression would come out of Takayuki's mouth. I honestly think so. Is this the taste that should remain? There was no sarcasm or intimidation from the past in that voice. Shima gently looked up at his father's face. Takayuki let out a slow breath. Maybe my way was wrong. It was only when Shima told me that I realized I was only pushing through my own correctness. Mana lowered her eyes a little at those words, but her face was quiet and somehow soft, as if she was accepting. After a while of silence, Takayuki slowly stood up and came in front of Manabu. She straightened her posture and bowed low. "Sake-san, I'm really sorry at that time. I opened my eyes wide as if to say, but there was no excuse in Takayuki's voice. It was not okay to say things like, just because I'm a single mother. He didn't even try to see your efforts or fruits. He stared at her for a while, then quietly replied. I'm honestly surprised that she apologized to me like this now. But hearing those words made me feel a little lighter. A small smile spilled out. Takayuki finally raised his head as well. It's enough if you remember the taste. I said quietly. Takayuki nodded slightly, returned to his seat and finished the meal. After paying the bill, the two headed for the entrance. Takayuki looked back at Fu in front of the door. We decided to move. We're going to start over a little further away. I see. It'll be a good start. Takayuki suddenly gave a soft smile that I had never seen before. Can I come to eat fried chicken again? Come anytime. I'll make lots of refills and wait for you. Watching the exchange, Minami called out from behind. I wonder if I should ask Kana and Miku to help me next time you come. Yeah. It'll be fun to make fried chicken together. Come again. Shoma was a little embarrassed, but nodded clearly. Yeah. I'll definitely come again. The sound of the doorbell became soft and warm. And the backs of the two disappeared into the spring fire. A season has passed since then. Laughter echoes through the restaurant today as well. The kitchen is as busy as ever at lunchtime, but there is a comfortable rhythm to it amid the hustle and bustle. Minami takes orders, while Kana and Miku greet each other with a cheerful, welcome. Behind the counter, I serve fried chicken as usual. Here you go, thank you for waiting. Hot food is ready again today. I think I like this place. I'm proud of this time that I can help someone. And today, too, I quietly offer up a little happiness. The same taste and the days that continue.